Yesterday we did this question. Let me just change the color. Yesterday we did this question, and then I told you to have a go and try and do this question, which is a two-parter. And it's not the easiest question. It is a little bit tricky, but I'd be interested to see if you had a go at it and how you did when you had a go at it. So the first question here, write down an equation in terms of x. All they want you to do here is they want you to realize that when they say AB is equal to AC, now AB is the line from A to B, so it's this, and AC is the line from here to here. They want you to write down the length of AB, and then they want you to put an equal sign, and then they want you to write down the length of AC. And they want us to realize that x minus 4 must be equal to 3 times x plus 6 over 5, okay? So all I did was I copied this here into there, and then I took what was AB. AB is x minus 4. I wrote that down like this. And then I put in equals, and then I put in 3x plus 6 over 5. And that is all I had to do. Now, what you can do is you can multiply out the top part here, and you can write it like this if you want to, and that would also be acceptable. Now, the second part, you had to do a little bit more. They want you to work out the length of AB. They told us that AB is x minus 4. So if we knew what x was, and then we just minused 4 from it, we would find out what AB is, right? So let's just find out what x is. So we have our equation here, and all I've done is I have solved this linear equation. So the first thing I did was I multiplied both terms by 5, and then when I did that, you can see here that this 5 and this 5 cancelled out, but obviously this 5 has to be multiplied by this on the left. And then I sorted that out here. You can see I multiplied 5x and then 5 by 4. And over here it's a 3x plus 18. And then all I did was I got the x's on the left and the numbers on the right. And you can see how I did it there, using the same technique that we've been using the last few days. And then I was left with 2x is equal to 38. So I divided both sides by 2. And the 2's cancelled out here. So I was left with x being equal to 38 over 2, which means that x is equal to 19. Now that I know what x is, I know that AB is x minus 4, so all I have to do is subtract minus 4 from 19, because 19 is x. And then I'll find out what the length of AB is. And the question tells us that the length of the sides are given in centimeters. So they wanted us at the very end to realize that when I find out that AB is 15, they want me to write 15 centimeters. And you would lose a mark for not realizing that. That's how you get the last mark, is getting it right and putting in the cm. And see these 3 little dots. If you haven't learned already, that these 3 little dots mean therefore in maths, okay? Therefore. It's really handy. You don't have to write it out. You just have to do the 3 dots. Okay, so that was that question. I'm just going to get rid of that now, and I'm going to throw up this. Okay, what we're doing today is very similar, but a little bit different. And we're starting slightly different thing, which is we are going to be adding and subtracting algebraic fractions, okay? Algebraic just means algebra. So fractions with algebra. And we are going to be adding and subtracting them. We're not going to be solving them yet. We're just going to be adding and subtracting them. But before we do that, I think we need to quickly revise how to add and subtract fractions in general, okay? Something that you may have done back in primary school and you may have done in first year, but I know when I was in 5th year, I forgot, or when I was in 6th year, I forgot how to do it. And even, you know, if I don't teach this for a few months, I forget and I need to go over it for a couple of minutes just in my head. So if I want to subtract two fractions, or if I want to add two fractions, I have to do something that's very similar to what we've been doing all along. I have to find out the lowest common multiplier, okay? Because what I want to do is I want to change the numbers at the bottom, okay, to be the same. Because if these both were the same, I can just subtract the top two numbers. So what I'm doing is I'm going to find out the lowest common multiplier of the bottom two numbers, so 4 and 5. And I'll just multiply 4 and 5 and I get 20. Okay, now I'm going to draw two lines and the minus number here, and then 20 and 20. Now, I can't just bring that 7 down here because 7/4 is not, or 7/4 is not 7/20. It's not the same. I have made this 4 into a 20. So, and I've done it by multiplying by 5, okay? In order for this 4 to become a 20, I've multiplied it by 5. So let's multiply the top number by 5 as well. Okay, so I've multiplied the bottom by 5 and I've multiplied the top by 5. So 7 multiplied by 5 is 35. And this one here, 5, in order for this 5 to become a 20, I've had to multiply it by 4. So I just multiply the 8 by 4 as well. Now 4 8s are 32. Okay, now you may have learnt the crisscross method, where you multiply these two, and that gives you the 20, and then you multiply the 8 by the 4 and the 5 by the 7. That's just what we've done. That's all we've done. I've just explained it slightly differently, but you can do it either way. You'll get the same answer. So now that we've got the same bottom number, yeah, we can just subtract the top two numbers. And 35 minus 32 is 3/20. And that's our answer. 3/20. And we can't simplify it any further. So if you minus 7/4 and you minus 8/5, you will get 3/20. And that's all you have to do. So pause the video now, have a go at the other questions, and then press play. And you can either watch me do them if you get stuck, or if you think you got them all right, you can just skip ahead to the end and you'll be able to check your answers. And then if you got one wrong, you can always skip back. Okay, so pause it now if you want. Okay, I'll go through the answers now. So I'm going to find the lowest common multiplier of 2 and 7. 2 and 7, it's easy, just multiply the 2 and the 7, it's 14. Okay, so we're going to have two fractions where the bottom is 14, okay? Now, in order for this 2 to become 14, I have to multiply by 7. So I just multiply the 3 by 7, so that's 21. And over here, for this 7 to become a 14, I have to multiply by 2. So 2 multiplied by 9 is 18. So that is 21/14 or minus 18/14. We just have to subtract the top two numbers, and that will give us 3/14. And that's the answer. Okay, let's do this one over here. Now, just be careful, this one is addition. Okay, it's adding. So 2 and 3, the lowest common multiplier would be 6. So we'll write it out here with a plus sign in the middle and then 6. For this 2 to become a 6, it needs to be multiplied by 3. So we're going to multiply 5 by 3. So that'll be 15. For this 3 to become a 6, we need to multiply by 2. So we multiply this 2 up top by 2. So that'll be 4. Now, all we have to do is add these together. So we will get 19 over 6. Now, what you could do here, this is the answer, but what you could do here is you could tidy this up a bit. How many times does 6 go into 19? It goes in 3 times, right? With 1 left over. So you could write it as 19 over 6, or you could write it as 3 1/6. Now, the lowest common multiplier here is 2 and 4. Ah, it's 4. Easy. Now, let's put this over here, over 4, and then over 4. Now this is a little bit different. We'll see why. In order for this 2 to become a 4, it has to be multiplied by 2, doesn't it? Yeah. That means that we multiply the top by 2. Okay? So that would be 46. All right? Now, this 4 does not need to be multiplied by anything. Okay? It's just stayed as it is, so 9 is the same. So that would give us an answer of 55 over 4, which we can divide in. Now, say I decide to use a lowest common multiplier where both numbers are being multiplied. So say I decide to use 8, okay? And I'll just keep this slightly separate. In order for the 2 to become an 8, oh, my trackpad is acting up, and an 8 here. In order for this 2 to become an 8, it needs to be multiplied by 4. So we multiply 4 by 23. That's 80, and then 4 3s are 12, so it's 92. And then we need to, for this 4 here to become an 8, we need to multiply it by 2. So 2 multiplied by 9 is 18. And that will give us 18 plus 92 is 110. That's over 8. Now, if this was to be simplified, this fraction, you could divide the top and the bottom by 2. What would that give you? If you divided the top and the bottom by 2, it would give you 55 over 4. Now, we got the same answer, but this is a tricky one because here we couldn't have used the crisscross method, all right? Because we didn't change both of the bottom numbers, all right? That's where you have to be careful. That's where the crisscross method can't be used. Whereas here we changed both of the numbers, okay? So we could use the crisscross method. So this is sort of exception you need to be careful of. Okay, I've included in the email today a worksheet, and I want you to do those. And they're pretty basic, but I expect that you should be able to do them in a couple of, not a couple of minutes. You should be able to get through them. And it's important to know this because it's going to help us when we're dealing with algebraic fractions in tomorrow's class. Okay, see you later.